This is the Book Deal Podcast,
where you will discover the inspiring stories of the authors behind your favourite books.
No matter what stage of writing you are at, we've got you covered. I'm Tina Strong.
And I'm Madeleine Cleary, and join us as we pull back the curtain of published authors.
One deal at a time.
The Book Deal Podcast acknowledges the traditional owners of the land and waters which it's recorded on, and pays respect to their elders past, present and emerging. Hi, it's Madeleine here. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you would have heard Tina and I mention our wonderful debut crew. Essentially, it's a support group for brand new authors as we navigate the world of publishing together. Have you ever wondered what we might discuss? Well, in this episode, you're about to find out. I had the great pleasure of speaking with three wonderful debut authors, Kate Horan, Emma Pignatiello, and Marion Taffe. Kate has a background in corporate communications and was a former English and drama teacher. Emma, who is a current teacher, has a long line of emerging writing accolades, winning CYA and the Varuna Affirm Press Mentorship Award. And Marion was a former journalist and spent her teen years in her family's historic Ballarat home, which was open to the public. Between them, they are covering shocking DNA test results, murder plots in wineries, and a 10th century poetess. At the time of recording, Kate and Emma's books are out on the shelves and Marion and I are waiting closely in the wings, so this made for an interesting chat. And if you enjoyed this panel-style chat, write us a review or get in touch because we might do some more. Kate Horan, you've been the first of everything this year for our debut crew in 2025 with your book, The Inheritance, coming out on the 1st of January this year. So I'm actually not going to start with you.
Oh, okay. I'll sit back and relax.
I feel like you've been our, first of everything this year, so you can sit back and relax. So I'm going to introduce firstly, Marion Taffe, whose book comes out in about a month recording, so it should be out in a couple of weeks. So Marion, can you give us the hook of your beautiful historical fiction novel, By Her Hand?
I would love to, Madeleine, and hello everyone. So my novel, yes, comes out on the 5th of March and it's called By Her Hand, and it's about a girl called Frida. And after barely surviving a Viking raid, Frida is taken to an abbey where she finds a passion for the written word. And inspired by the fearsome ruler Lady Athelflaed, Frida writes her courage and rage into a poem. And this poem has the power to forge a kingdom, but it also has the power to destroy everything Frida holds dear.
Beautiful. That's a lovely pitch, and I'm sure you're going to get used to practicing that over the next few weeks as well, Marion. I'm so glad that you pronounced Lady, can you say that again?
Athelflaed.
Athelflaed.
Athelflaed. So her name is spelt with an old letter called an ash, which is the A and the E smushed together. And I love it. I just, have my favorite letter. And it makes a kind of sound that's a little, probably closest to like the A in apple. It's like a bit of an AE, basically. I mean, we still use it in words like pediatrician, encyclopedia, but it's got a slightly different sound. So it's sort of like an A, so it's Athelflaed.
Now, you don't have a background, an academic background, do you, in Old English? Or is this something, how do you go from learning these things? Because it's not something we commonly learn.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's just become a bit of an obsession. But I think it's just, I have always really loved history and I've grown up in history. So I grew up in an old house in Ballarat that was open to the public and it's just full of history. It's been in my family for over 100 years and my dad's a historian and I just grew up, looking at his pictures of the Book of Kells and just fascinated by royalty and the church history and religious history and European history. I just love history. So I really got into it that way. I think it's more through interest. And I never even thought of studying history, but I've just always loved it. I love historical fiction, movies, TV, and this became my favorite period. And so I started writing the book, and I had a sort of an interest in the period already, but when I started writing the book, I really dived into it. and found out how much I didn't know. I thought I knew a fair bit when I started, but I knew nothing.
And in the novel, so Frida, who's this wonderful woman who's wants to see her name on a page in a hand of her own making. Is that something that you've always wanted to do, Marion, see your name on a page?
It's so funny. No, I am not one of these writers who always wanted to be a writer. So, and I was lucky because I fell into writing. I became a journalist in my early 20s, sort of by accident. I was rowing at the time, and I did some rowing reports for the local paper, and they offered me a job reporting on sport, and it went from there. So I saw my name in print then early on, and probably took it a little bit for granted. People would say, "Wow, you've got a byline." I'd think, "Yeah, of course I've got a byline. I wrote the story." And so it sort of went from there, but I did not even entertain the idea of writing a book until, oh, fairly recently, actually. Probably in the past 10 years, I started to think I might like to have a go at this. Yeah.
Well, we're glad you have, Marion, readers, particularly of historical fiction, but all readers are just going to love this book. I've had the privilege to read an early copy. So thank you for getting into writing. Emma Pignatiello, hello.
Hello.
You are a fan of our podcast, I know.
I am. I'm obsessed with you guys. I listen every week. And now you've let me on.
We are so excited to have you on, Emma. You've been part of our crew for a while now, and we've been so excited to watch your journey. You not only have one book, but two books coming out this year. Is that right?
That's right. Yes. Actually, the second one's coming out in April. So, yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Not long
I don't
now.
know how you do it. Do you want to give us the pitch of your book, Last Shot?
Sure. So Last Shot is an enemies to lovers romantic suspense novel. It's set in a fictional town in the Margaret River region over here in WA. And the premise is that someone is going to murder millionaire wine mogul Giovanni Barbarani tomorrow night. And the only two people who can stop the murder from happening are ex-con Maxella Conrad and the Barbaranis' loyal fixer, Grayson Hawke. That is, if they don't kill each other first.
I love this premise. It's such a fantastic premise. And I messaged you today because I was driving back from my physio appointment, and it was quite a long drive. So I like to listen to it, or I'm listening to Last Shot on audio at the moment. And there was and I'm not going to explain, I won't spoil it, but I'm just going to call it the mudroom scene. So for those...
Chapter 31.
Chapter 31.
Oh, the infamous chapter 31.
It's not going to live up to the hype now.
But that was my companion on my way back from physio. And I was like blushing and laughing and giggling, and people looking in, I think, at the traffic lights being like, what is she listening to? And then I had to log on to work. That was really hard.
It's a good scene to get you in the mindset for work.
That's right. That's right.
It depends what kind of work.
Listening. So now I read, Emma, that you wanted to write Last Shot because you found that there weren't enough murders happening in romance novels. Is that right?
In a very yes, in a very short way. It was kind of normally I get ideas for a story and it comes from usually like three different things, and it's usually like a better story behind the story. But for Last Shot, it really was I was a bit burnt out with what I'd been writing. I'd been writing YA fantasy, and I was sort of in the middle of this like fifth draft of this like crime novel that I was trying to write, and it wasn't quite working. I think it wasn't. Now that I look back, it wasn't me. I don't know. There was something not right. And I was looking at my enormous to-be-read pile on my bed, and there was romance books and crime books, and I just didn't feel like in the mood for either or. But I was starting to realize the thing that was tying a lot of my manuscripts together, and that what I really liked to write, was often the banter between the two love interests and the romance side of it. And I never thought of myself as a romance writer, but I was doing a course with the Australian Writer Centre, and it was all about romance, and it all sort of just the genre all came to me before, I guess, the characters did, which has never happened before. So,
So you've got a few manuscripts in your bottom drawer, do you?
Bottom drawer, yes. Last shot was Fifth Time's the Charm. For me, it was the fifth manuscript. Yeah.
And had you what did you do with the others?
So the first one was basically I started writing it in high school. So it was a complete amalgamation of like Vampire Academy and Twilight and, all those kind of urban fantasy.
I think all of us have kind of, well, I mean, I've attempted one of those as well, like in my teen years. So
I loved it. But yeah, it was, and I sort of finished that in 2019 when I decided to take writing more seriously. The second one I had a little bit more success with. I got a mentorship with a firm press at Verona, which was just amazing. And that was it was one of the best, experiences I've ever had, not just writing. That one, yeah, it still needed a bit of work. I wrote a third one, which I didn't do anything with. And the fourth one I did try to sort of, I don't think I submitted it to any publishers. I did submit it to a few competitions, and I did some assessments at the CYA conference, just to sort of get a bit of a gauge as to if it was going down the right track. So I was working on that one when I wrote Last Shot. So Last Shot, yeah, it was the fifth one, and yeah, the one I eventually got a yes with.
Did you go through many rejections with Last Shot, or was it smooth sailing?
No, it was the first person I showed it to was my now agent, Danielle Binks. And when we went out on submission, so she submitted it to, I think, 8 publishers. So I did get some rejections in that process. And then we had sort of 3 publishers who were interested. But yeah, so there was definitely rejections in the submissions. But in terms of that manuscript, it was far more smooth sailing than the other ones had been.
I guess that shows though, so here you are, you're onto your 5th manuscript. That, I mean, they're not wasted manuscripts.
Oh no, not at all. I had to learn, yeah. They were my training wheels, I think. And I think I still love all of them except the first one. That one, no one's ever going to see that.
Apparently vampires are back though. So
they are. This was witches though. So it was,
witches are very in.
It's terrible. The others though, I do, especially they're quite romantic. Romanticy wasn't a thing when I was writing them, but they are romanticy. So I'm definitely going to do something with those 2. But the crime novel, I think, no.
Okay, I'm looking forward to your future romanticy books. This is going to be great. Kate, do you have any manuscripts hidden in your bottom drawer?
Well, I actually, speaking of manuscripts, I submitted my second book on Friday.
Oh my
gosh. That was
a
good moment.
You've launched a book and submitted a second one. That's amazing.
I have, yes, but I'm on quite a deadline because of how short the timeframes were from when I signed my book deal to when my first book came out. Because I got a 2-book deal, my second deadline is actually only, 5 months away. So yes, I know. I can see your faces. I know podcasting's not a visual medium, so listeners won't be able to appreciate that, but everyone just made a sort of pulled a funny face when I said that I only have 5 months until that deadline. But the good news is I've submitted that. So, hopefully she reads it and she loves it and off it goes into that sort of editing process. But, she might come back with some feedback and I might do another little rewrite here or there. But anyway, good progress.
Huge. Okay. Well, Kate, let's talk about your first book first, though.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us the pitch for The Inheritance?
Yeah, sure. So The Inheritance is about 2 women and a dark secret that connects them. 29-year-old journalist Meg Hunter arrives in the exclusive town of Hartwell to investigate suspected corruption by Ashworth Property. She's also seeking answers to the mystery surrounding why her mother fled the town 30 years before, leaving them with no family at all. Meanwhile, 30-year-old heiress Isabel Ashworth is sent to Hartwell by her mogul father to rescue a controversial development of a historic jail and to prove her commitment to the family business. When she's there, her path crosses with Meg's and the carefully guarded secrets of the past start to unravel with the help of 3 DNA test kits, which mysteriously appear under the Ashworths' family Christmas tree addressed to the 3 adult siblings, and nobody knows who put them there or why or what secret it is that they are designed to expose. But basically, Isabel starts to question everything she knows about her family, and she's drawn to Meg and her pursuit of the truth. But somebody will stop at nothing to keep their secrets hidden. Bom, bom, bom. Chaos ensues.
How good's that, Marion? You look like you're on the edge of your seat there.
I know, I've got Kate's book just sitting, it's just over, just nearby. I bought it just last week. So
Oh, very
like,
good.
"Ooh,
Thank
I can't
you.
wait."
It's brilliant. And I lived in Canberra for many years, and I just pictured the Kangaroo Valley, Southern Highlands, little towns in my head. Like
Yeah.
that was what I visualized. And it's, an amazing spot and brilliant book. So congratulations. And it's just flying as well. Like, you've done so well. But I just want to step back though before we talk about the release of it.
Yeah.
I think all of us in this group, actually, we remember you coming and joining us mid-year last year, and you
Yeah.
said to us, "Oh, I've just signed my contract. It's June and it's
Yeah.
going to be out in January." And we all
Yeah.
said, "What?" We
I
pulled the same
know.
faces that we just pulled, I think. How have you done
Yeah,
this,
I know.
Kate?
It's funny, isn't it? Because, everyone always talks about how slowly things go in publishing. And that certainly was my experience, of all my author friends. Often it was 2 years from signing a book deal until the book came out. Yes, whereas mine was 6 months. So it was this time last year, so what is it, mid-February, this time last year, my book was being structurally edited by, I got a structural edit done, and I was waiting for that to come back to me, and I hadn't signed with my agent yet. And so that came back sort of end of February, and then I spent most of March working like crazy because I was about to get on a plane in early April, and I thought, I'm just going to have to get this done before I go. And so I did, and I sent it off to the agent who I'd been talking to about it at Curtis Brown. And that was on the Tuesday after the Easter long weekend, and she signed me up the next day on the Wednesday. So I got on the plane on the Thursday night, and I had an agent, which was amazing. So that was like the first big breakthrough. And then while I was away, she said, "I've got a few little ideas, just suggestions. Do you want me to tell you now, or do you want to wait till you get back from your holiday?" I said, no, tell me now so that my brain can start ticking away on it. And so then when I got back, I made those, sort of tweaks here and there. And it was the end, I think it was the last day of May that she sent it out. I think she sent it to 8 or 9 publishers, and she was going on holiday. So she said, "Take your time to have a read. I'm away for a couple of weeks. Come back and let me know and she said like 17th of June or something. HQ 3 days later said, "We want to make an offer and we want to publish it in January." So that was it. Done. So it was crazy.
It's just an amazing story. It's not a common one, I would say, as well, to move that quickly. And how I'm interested, when you said you had been talking with an agent at Curtis Brown, how did you find that connection?
Well, I did the Faber writing a novel course in 2020, and she actually saw an extract in the anthology that gets published after Faber. And so she saw that, and she contacted Catherine Hayman, who was one of the tutors that I worked with at Faber, and said, "Oh, I like the look of this." So she was sort of interested in that manuscript, but that manuscript wasn't quite ready, and that manuscript actually is book 2.
Right.
So what happened was she was interested in that. So then when I wrote The Inheritance, because I had the idea for this DNA thing, and it just felt to me like a zeitgeisty thing that I should just hurry up and write. And so I just put the other one to the side, and I wrote The Inheritance, and I got some mentoring from Catherine Hayman when I was writing The Inheritance. And so she suggested that we pick the conversation up again with Claire at Curtis Brown. And so that was sort of how that happened. And so, it was quite a while before that, though, that she, it was sort of October of the previous year, 2023, that she said that she liked it. And I had to wait quite a while for the structural editor who she recommended to be available. And so that was quite a long slow. There's all these, I think in publishing, there's all these periods of waiting where you just can't do anything to speed things up. And so that was kind of, you know, a little bit frustrating because I was like, oh, I just want to get the structural edit done and keep cracking on with this. But then little did I know that things were about to start moving very quickly anyway, as soon as that was done. So it all worked out. But I hope that story is like, for people who are listening, who are writing and hoping to get published, I hope that it's inspiring, because I just remember often you'd sort of see people, oh, that person's got a book deal. Why don't I? You know what I mean? And it's easy to feel like that. But I think that it's just, when I reflect on that story, you just have no idea what's around the corner, like how quickly it all can change and your luck can swing the other way. And that's certainly how I felt. I mean, it still feels like a crazy fever dream.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But it, you know, obviously you've been working on it from before 2020 as well. So it's now in 2025. So it's 5 years. So things move quickly, but
not the inheritance. The inheritance,
second book, But you're, in terms of your developing a writing career, you've been investing time and effort.
I started writing in 2019. So properly, you know, seriously trying to write a novel. Yeah. So I definitely put the time in.
Yeah, absolutely. What was your experience like, Marion, when you were approaching publishers?
Really different. Yeah, really different to Kate's. But I also started writing in about 2019. So that's interesting. Yeah, but quite a different path. Actually, it was 2018 I started just sort of dabbling, and I'll go back and do the publication before I go back to 2018. So I was, I had started trying to write a novel and decided it was terrible and I needed to figure out how to do this properly. So I'd enrolled in professional writing and editing at RMIT, and that course was fantastic. And I'd started writing this novel before. I remember I had an excerpt as my entrance, sort of as part of the entrance application. And so I just chipped away at it through the course. And it was great because, you know, through the pandemic, it was just crazy with kids. It was, and I don't think if I was doing that course, you know, I don't know what would have happened to my writing otherwise, but because I was studying, you sort of have to write, you know, they're giving you assignments. If you want to pass, you have to write. And so I was working on by her hand all the way through and just chipping away. And then as part of the course, we have a subject called Towards Publication, where we learn about, getting an agent and how the publication industry works. And the very first assignment is that we need to pitch to an industry representative. And our teacher, Danielle Binks, organised people to come in and we would pitch to them. And Catherine Milne had come in and my group of 5, we were pitching to Catherine Milne. So
and Catherine is one of the...
So Catherine's head of fiction at HarperCollins, and she looks after the Fourth Estate sort of crew of the imprint, and
Trent
Dalton, Holly Ringland, I mean it's also not just the big names. Her story sense is just incredible. But so she was interested in my pitch, and she asked Danielle to make an email introduction, and I sent her through some early chapters. And she said, you know, thanks for that. I probably won't get time to read it. And I said, oh, well, that's fine. Thank you so much. And I thought, well, that was a really nice little ego boost. And what a thrill to have Catherine Milne ask for that. And I'll probably never hear from her again. And then 2 days later, she emailed me as I was going to bed saying, oh my gosh, we need to talk. And so that happened quickly because I didn't have a full manuscript. And so I was really honest with her right up from the start, you know, this is what I've got. This is where it's at. And I knew I needed to do a lot of work. So she was fantastic. And so it was acquired quite early on the partial, but it was a long process from there because I didn't have a first draft. I hadn't given it to beta readers. And so, so Catherine had it for a while, and then it was in development for a while. And then after the structural edit, I just worked so hard on it last summer, and I thought, oh, there might be another structural edit, but Catherine came back and said, I just love it. That's it. We're off to copy editing stage. So it was moving along then. So yeah.
And it's a historical fiction, so you've got a lot of things that you have to make sure are accurate. It's a long book too, so copy edit in itself it's not a simple task, is it, to go through and check? And
no,
we were talking about the waxing and waning moons and all sorts of things.
Oh yeah, I love the moon. There's a website that's got the moon cycles for 910 to 917. It's amazing.
All those little things
But apparently, I've heard historical fiction writers who say they get complaints when they get the moons wrong. So
yes, that's what my proofreader picked up.
Right.
Yes, issues with the moons. So I was like,
wow.
Okay, that's amazing. I'm going to have to change that. So yes, all those fun things. So Emma, when you signed your 2-book deal, had you written your second book?
Yes, I had. So I signed with my agent, Danielle Binks, in 2022. And that would have been in August. And when I signed with her, because I'd done an assessment with her at the CYA conference again, and I had you have to do like a little one-line pitch. You have to do your comp titles, like what other books is this one similar to? And you were allowed to sort of put any other details in that cover page, like if you thought it was part of a series or something. So I snuck in a little, this is a standalone, but I do have ideas for, there's some of the other siblings in the family, not romances between them, but, them and someone else, just to be clear. And so I'd sort of said that. And so she said when she signed me, look, let's get the second book written. Can you do that? And I said, of course I can. And I was looking at my notes the other day, and I think I actually wrote the first draft for that one in about 3 months. So
wow.
I wrote the first draft and I got Last Breath to her in January after it still needed like a lot of work, but I sort of edited it quite quickly and sent it to her.
While working full time as well in your day job.
Yes. I did have the school holidays though, for editing that. So that's a bonus about being a teacher. And yeah, so when we pitched it, so that would have been the start of 2023 that I had the manuscript. So 2 manuscripts to Danielle. And then during 2023, we did some edits back and forth between us on both of them. And then it would have been October 23, she pitched both Last Shot and Last Breath as a series with potential for other books to publishers. Yeah, so it was written.
Oh my, well, that's good. I'm glad it was, because your schedule has been just as hectic.
It would have been impossible if it hadn't been written.
Absolutely. And so we're talking about before doing historical fiction research. For Last Shot, tell us about the research. I'm hoping you had lots of winery tours and that lots of them were tax deductible as well. Did you deliberately set it on a winery?
Yeah, no. I said it, yeah. I don't have a confession. I don't really like wine that much. Yeah, I know. I said this at my book launch. It was the first time I'd kind of said it out loud. And I think people were a bit, I don't know how that's going to go down, but I did. My nono used to make his own wine, and that's kind of where I got a little bit of the idea from. Like he's in the book in that there's a grandfather who's dead, but his name is Emilio, like my grandfather. And I did sort of think, well, like his wine was terrible. No one would drink it. But I was like, well, what would have happened if it had been really good? But yeah,
and not poisoned as well.
And not poisoned, yes. Yeah, Nono's wine was definitely poisoned. The only reason he didn't get sick, I don't know. He was tough. It was tough. We went on until 94. But yeah, so I think I did go to wineries though for the setting, and I just, as an excuse to go down south to Margaret River. But I do have, like friends that drink wine, and they were more than happy to help me out with. Yeah. So I did a little bit of research into just, I guess, the logistics of a winery. And there are sort of like, this isn't a spoiler, it's sort of there in the book, but there are lots of like secret passageways on the Barbarani estate. So that did come from my imagination, but I did sort of have to look at logistically, with cellars and stuff, where would these things be? Yeah. So not as much wine drinking as some people. Yeah.
Definitely reading both your book, Emma, and Kate's saw quite a few similarities in terms of this, this family dynasty, the secrets.
I was noticing that too. It's interesting, isn't it? They're quite similar in that way.
The wealthy families. What do you think, like, maybe to both of you, why are we so fascinated with sort of these family secrets, but also this like wealthy people?
I think rich people behaving badly is the best genre of anything. It's like a subgenre. So Succession, it can be, drama, it can be comedy, Schitt's Creek. I just love it. I lap it up. If it's got a rich family and, there's something kind of a little bit entertaining about how sort of slightly out of touch and removed from the lives of most normal people. But I also think that in a lot of, well, certainly in mine, and I'm not sure, Emma, I haven't read yours, but you're sort of seeing the downfall of some of these people is quite reassuring.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I think I'm fascinated with, I guess, shows like Downton Abbey, where you've got the rich family, but you've also got the other layer, the staff. Yeah. And that was, I think, my inspiration for Last Shot was the character that came to me first was Gray, who is the fixer, the staff member.
Can we just say his name? Can you say it in like a dulcet tones, like for audio? Because that's in my audiobook mind. His full name.
Grayson Hawke.
Grayson Hawke.
Very sexy.
Oh dear. But yeah, so I think I was fascinated by that interaction, I think, with the wealthy family and the not necessarily like poor people, but their staff, who are obviously so different to them. Yeah.
And especially in a modern day setting where having staff is not something that most normal people have, whereas
not in Australia.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nadia Mahjouri, author of Half Truth, published with Penguin Random House. Half Truth is a family drama that tells the story of two women searching for answers about the same man. 22-year-old Zara struggling with new motherhood in her isolated Tasmanian home at the bottom of Bruny Island. Desperate for answers about her own identity, Zara decides to travel to Marrakesh to find her father, a man her mother will not discuss. But when she arrives, she discovers he's missing and he hasn't been seen for over 20 years. Along with her extended family, who are desperate for news of him, Zara tries to untangle the mystery of her father's disappearance, learning about Moroccan culture, politics, and herself along the way. Meanwhile, Hadija, Zara's grandmother, is also longing to see her firstborn son, Ahmed. Packing her home of 50 years where her son was born, Hadija remembers her village childhood, her marriage at just 11 years old, and the birth of Ahmed when she was just 13. She recalls her son's fiery nature and his passionate fight against the monarchy, and the last night she saw him, the night after a failed assassination attempt on the King of Morocco. This novel is inspired by my own experience of travelling to Morocco in the late 90s with my baby to find my father, and it's a story of motherhood and loss, identity and belonging, which makes ideal reading for perhaps a book club or anyone who would like to feel like they're travelling to Morocco from the comfort of their living room. I really hope you love Half Truth and enjoy meeting Zara and Hadija. Thanks so much to Madeleine and Tina for the opportunity to introduce Half Truth to you all. Thanks a lot.
So, Kate, I think I mentioned before, we've just been so excited to watch you and your book fly. Like, you were literally the first person to step off the cab off the rank for us. How have you felt dealing with all the publicity and the hype and the social media? I've heard that the social media can be quite exhausting. It's constant. But how have you gone through that?
I haven't found it too much, really. I think because my book came out on New Year's Day, And that meant that the events have been delayed until pretty much February. My book launch was on the 30th of January, and that was the first event. It meant that I had January to be, you know, seeing the things that people were posting and looking at Goodreads, even though we're not supposed to, and checking that, you know, there weren't any 1-star reviews there and all of that sort of stuff. So, and then now I'm kind of in the thick of events. I mean, this is the second podcast interview I've done today.
Wow.
Wow.
So I've got another one this week, and, you know, I had an
Hopefully
event
ours
last
is more
week.
fun,
And,
Kate. Hopefully.
oh, look, well, there was only me and one other person on the other one. So you've got, you know, four times the fun. Yeah. So I haven't found it too much, but I mean, I definitely think you've got to just manage the social media side of things. And also I was trying to finish book 2 in January, and I had children on school holidays as well.
Oh my gosh.
It was a little bit like chaos, but yeah, fun. It's actually been extremely fun. And yeah, I keep sort of just reminding myself that it's fun, because it can be like, oh, I've got so busy. But actually it's busy doing all this really fun stuff. And you know, I'm starting at the moment, you know, each day there's an email that arrives that says, do you want to come to this festival, or do you want to do this or that? And it's just exciting.
Do you get those emails and you just go, what is this life? Like
a little bit. Like I am like, wow, this is kind of funny.
How are you feeling about it, Marion? Yours is coming next.
Coming up soon. So I'm a month away. And I mean, I'm trying to get things. The calendar is starting to look really busy. And yeah, I have kids as well. So they have, you know, sports competitions and things like that, and appointments that are rudely interrupting my publicity tour. But it's getting pretty. It's kind of the calm before the storm in a way, I think. I don't know, Emma and Kate, you've been through it, and Madeleine, this will be you soon too.
I actually, to be honest, Marion, I felt more stressed and kind of anxious before my book came out, in that probably that bit between where you are and the publication date. I just felt increasingly, I just had like this sort of low level apprehension 100% of the time. And I was, you know, in the middle of the night, I'd be thinking things that didn't even, you know, silly things like, what sort of pen do you use to sign books and stuff like that, that is just nonsense. But that was sort of where my head was at. And then as soon as it was out, it was almost like it was in the world and it wasn't mine anymore, and I could just let it go.
I'm definitely feeling that. And I remember, and it's like, you know, it's like these stages. It's not stages of grief, but there definitely was a period of grief for me, I think, when I realized that that's it. It was pens down, you know, and this story that has lived in your head for me 5 years and has evolved, you know, every morning I'd wake up with a new idea and be like, oh, she would say that, she would say this. And to just get to that point where it's like, no more, this story is not going to evolve anymore. Like, you can keep having these ideas, and I'm sure I will for years from now, but I can't put it in the book. Yeah. But also it was getting over that hump and realizing actually it's not mine anymore. I mean, it is my book. It will always be mine, but it's a kind of really beautiful thing to think it goes out into the world, and every person will bring their own life to this story, and it will become something different in everybody's mind, a little bit different for everyone. And so it's, once you let it go, it's quite freeing. It's kind of like getting on a plane and just going, well,
yes, I'm on here now. I've forgotten to pack something. Too bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how it's feeling for me, this little period. It's feeling good, actually. I'm not feeling too bad.
That's great. Oh no, that's good.
I'm waiting for the madness to hit, but it's not too bad at the moment.
Calm before the storm. What about you, Emma? Has there been a period or a point where you've felt most anxious?
I think I definitely, like Kate was saying, just before it came out, I think I was feeling this dread that no one will read it, but then if they do, they will hate it. And that was sort of, I sat with that for a long time.
Why do we do this to ourselves?
I don't know. I don't know. It's I think it's the imposter syndrome. It's and then Goodreads terrifies me. It still terrifies me. And I have been checking it, but I know I need to stop. But yeah, I think I definitely, after the launch, I definitely felt this, like I was coming down from a high, because it was, you have this adrenaline and then it just drops. So I definitely felt that, and that was a weird feeling. I didn't expect that. I thought that I'd sort of carry on with the high for a bit longer, but I'm out of that now, and I'm sort of, I guess, a bit more stable, even though I've just moved house and I'm back at work. Everything is insane. And I have a 6-year-old who doesn't care that much that my book has come out into the world, funnily enough. So yeah, it's been weird. I think because I've got a very big imagination. I think we all do because we're writers. So I think I imagine what it's going to be like. And then if it's not like that, and it's been amazing, but I think, it didn't happen the way I thought that was going to happen. And that's okay. But I think I get in my head too much. I need to just stop and be in the moment. So round 2 in April, I'm going to be in the moment more when it comes out, not obsess over little things as much. I say that now. Ask me again in April.
You were nodding along there, Kate. Do you agree?
Yeah. I think I don't know. I think there is something there's a lot of vulnerability required to put a piece of work out and let people judge it. And, even the fact that Goodreads exists and people can write, this was terrible, this is the worst book I've ever read. If they want to, they don't have to have any, qualifications. They don't even have to have read the book, they can. And so there is something that is quite, anxiety inducing about that. But yeah, for me, it was more just once it was out, I felt like I don't have control anymore. And there's a bit of a letting go of control, I think, that's required.
And by the time it does come out, it's really, it's not your book anymore, because it's so many people, from the publisher, from the sales team, from the publicity, marketing, everyone's had a role, and everyone wants to see it fly as well. So it's that releasing, isn't it? Once you're past that manuscript stage and getting it out there, which is so exciting. Well, I think Marion and I have got some good tips, I think, from this. This is quite helpful for me.
Thank you. Wise ones.
And not checking Goodreads. I think it's going to be a tough one, but probably a good one.
You'll do it, but
that's what my husband keeps saying. It's like, I'm like, no, I won't. He's like, no, you will.
Yeah, my husband's ready to block it when it comes out.
Okay, so I did want to have a chat with you guys about some recommendations of some debut authors from last year. So who would like to, does anyone have a book that they read last year? It doesn't have to be Australian debut, it can be any debut from last year that they want to talk about. Maybe start with Marion.
Oh, me? Okay. This is difficult because for a little while my book was penciled to come out in 2024, but and so I read a lot of the Australian debuts last year, and there's so many good ones. It's really, really hard to choose. So can I rattle some off before? Because my choice is actually an overseas author, but it was really hard. Tide Lines by Sarah Sasson, amazing. Whenever You're Ready by Trish Bolton, and Into the Margins by Gail Holmes were probably, I couldn't decide between the three of them, so I went overseas, and I went for The Safe Keep by Yael van der Wouden, I think is how you pronounce her name, which was shortlisted for the Booker, and it just was incredible. It's set in the 1960s, so that qualifies as historical fiction. And did you want to hear a little bit about it, or it's quite famous now? So it's set in the Netherlands in the 1960s and follows the incredibly unlikable character Isabel. She's really quite horrible. But it's an incredible exploration of the repression of truth, like of sexuality and class, and the ripples that war and dispossession send through generations, and about reckoning with the true cost of what we have inherited, the things around us. And I just found it a deeply challenging book. And I felt like it really posed the question to me of what would I be willing to give up to live a truly authentic life? And so it's tough. It just, it's beautiful writing, and it's challenging. And at some points you just think, no, you're pushing me to the edge here. But she, it all comes together just beautifully.
Wow, what a recommendation. I don't think we're going to be able to match that one. That was beautiful, Marion.
Yeah,
Another
it's
one
pretty
to
amazing.
add to the TBR.
Yeah.
I read, I read a number of debuts last year, and there were lots of really strong ones. The one that really stands out for me is Everything is Perfect by Maxine Fawcett. I just thought it was a really interesting story, very character driven, about a woman who's sort of approaching, sort of menopausal sort of age and starting to question quite a lot of things and feeling dissatisfied with her marriage and, just life being quite mundane. She develops a crush which becomes an obsession on a widowed father who's got children at the same primary school. And the thing that I just think is, I really admire that Max really sort of took it. She really sort of pushed it in terms of the behavior of the main character, Cassie. And I know, I've heard people say, oh God, it was I couldn't quite cope with that. The character's quite a polarizing character, but I thought it was really interesting. I mean, I was riveted. I was turning the pages, absolutely, and quite horrified. Don't do that, And yeah, she would do the things that I was hoping she wouldn't. But yeah,
it was great. It was you were watching a car kind of
a car crash
or a cliff.
slowly.
Yeah. And you're no, don't do that. And she's like, okay, now I'm doing this.
I know. Okay. And you're like, oh God, yeah.
And I actually listened to the audiobook of that one as well, which was narrated by Anna Downs. And so it was fantastic. I didn't know that Anna also, she's a writer, Red River Road.
She was RADA trained actor.
Yes. Amazing. It was, fantastic.
I loved Everything is Perfect as well. So you stole one of mine, but
oh, sorry, Emma.
No, that's okay. I really loved. I don't think this is a 2024. I think it was at the end of 23. It was Green Dot by Madeleine Cleary. That's incredible. My 2024 one, I would say Anomaly by Emma Lord. So it is, the main character is Piper, and basically it's kind of like the apocalypse has already happened, but there's so much more in store. I don't want to give too much away, but it is just incredible. So it is a YA dystopian novel, and Emma's just her description, but her characterization and the banter between the main characters is just phenomenal. So even if you're not you normally read YA, I think just anyone can enjoy this book. So I actually recommended that to one of my students the other day who wanted to read. I was like, oh my God, a teenager wants to read here. Let me tell you all of these books. But I told her to get Anomaly. So I'm going to recommend it here as well.
Are you encouraging your students to read your book, Emma?
Oh, no, I'm not. I know that we need to improve literacy rates.
31?
Yeah, exactly. I know we need to improve literacy rates and everything. And I guess, reading a book that your teacher wrote where there's sex scenes in it, I don't really know what else to do to improve literacy rates, but I don't, I've told them it's for adults. So I'm pretty confident they're probably not going to read it, but I can't guarantee. So yeah, I said when you're 18, and then but some of the year 12s do turn 18.
That's true. Yes.
So I've said when you leave school, never contact me again.
And you're going to be writing YA, it sounds like, in future as well. So
oh yeah, they can read that. If I write some YA, they can read that one.
Emma, we'll continue with you. Do you want to leave I'm sure you've had lots of episodes to ponder your top tippies as well. So I'm expecting something really good.
Turn, and I'm feeling all the nerves. My top tip is, it's kind of a 3-for-1. It is to I am no one, I'm nothing special. So if I can do it, if I can get a book deal, then anyone can. So in order to get your book over the line, I think there's 3 things you need, but it all comes into the one thing. It's all the one tip. You have to want it, you have to love it, and you have to do it. So you've got to want it, which means you have to have that goal in mind. This is where I want to be. I want, to sign the book deal or whatever it is. And that's what keeps you sort of motivated and working towards it. You've got to love it. So even when, you're tired and you just want to watch maths, you've got to, or Netflix or whatever, you've just got to sit down and write, and you have to love the process of writing, and you have to do it You have to sit down, you have to open up the laptop, you just got to do it. And you will get there, I promise, because I did.
There you go. Even if it's just one word per day,
Exactly.
still progress.
100%. Yeah.
And you'll find if you go on and you're like, oh, I'm just going to do 5 minutes. And then before you know it.
Time yourself, Pomodoro method, 100%. Yeah.
Oh, is that a method, is it?
Well, I know it's just a method, but it's a thing.
Oh, yeah. Love the
that
tomato
other
thing.
people better than me do. So
it's a short burst, isn't it? Like a 20-minute.
Yeah.
Sit down for 20 minutes. It's like tricking yourself into exercise, I think. You
100%.
sometimes got to trick yourself into it and say, I'll just sit down and I'll write one paragraph, and then if I'm not feeling it, I'll get up again.
And inevitably you do more than one paragraph.
You never get up after a paragraph.
Yeah.
So, good tips.
Yeah.
My tip would be, I think you do have to invest a bit in learning the craft of writing. And I think when I reflect on my own journey, at first I just tried to do it without learn. Like I just thought, I'll just try and see and if I can work out how to do this. And you can't. I mean, it's a very complicated thing to do, writing a novel. It's hard to think of anything quite as complex as writing, a novel. And I think you do have to learn the craft. So I would say invest in the learning. For me, that looked like, I did the Faber Writing a Novel course, which is one of the ways of doing it. There's lots of different options, craft books, all of that, but just learn the actual craft. Like just as one example, when I learned how to write a scene and I really understood the structure of a scene, I felt like that was quite a game changer in terms of my writing, and even just how quickly I could write once I understood that. That it became faster for me to write. I didn't have to sort of fumble my way through trying to work out how to make this thing work anymore. So just some of those technical things that you can learn, I would say invest in the learning.
Are you a plotter or a pantser, Kate?
I'm a pantser. In fact, to the point where I
thought I was listening to you going, she's a plotter.
No, I'm a pantser, and to the point where I didn't even finish my first draft because I thought, now I know where to start this story. And so I just went 65,000 words, 3/4 of the way through. I'll stop there and I'll start my second draft. So I was halfway through my second draft and I still didn't know the ending. And so I was starting to really panic, thinking, what if I can't think of it? What if I can't work out how to bring this home? And then I was driving my car one day and it just came like this bolt from the sky. And
it just happens like that.
Oh, that's what she does. And so that was it. Yeah. But so I pants, but I also think that whole pantser plotter distinction is a little bit less true in real life because it's just doing one first and then the other, I think. Like I pants, but after maybe, a draft or two, then I need to work out what I've got and make sure that it's working, from a plot perspective, and really think about, the structure of it and whether it's doing what it needs to do to be satisfying for readers. So I think you still do the plotting if you're a pantser. It's just that you don't start with the plotting. You start with the characters and the scenario.
Have you guys heard of the quilters and the knitters as well?
No.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay, Emma. So yes, you can explain this.
Oh no, I've heard of it. I can't remember it.
Okay, I can explain it.
Go.
I can explain it. So Kate Solly, who you guys might know,
yeah, she's great.
So great. I went to her event last week, and she said, so you've on one level, and I'm holding up my hand for us, but for listeners, I'm just holding it horizontal. You've got plotters, pantsers, spectrum, and then if you flip it, you've also got quilters and knitters. So quilters are writers who will just quilt a certain scene, but it could be at any point in a novel, and then they'll just patchwork the novel together.
I'm a knitter.
Knitters are the people that go like, I was horrified to hear that there are quilters that exist.
I don't know how. I find it hard enough to keep track of my story when I go in chronological order. I don't know how, if you jump around, you can keep track of all the details.
I don't know how you do it in a mystery novel or a crime novel. I just, I understand pantsing but I would assume that you're still writing chronologically.
Yeah. Well,
what about you, Marion? I remember you once telling me.
What did I say?
I was horrified when you told me this, Marion, and I still remember it today. You know,
I know what this is going to be.
Chapters.
Yes. The
Yes,
chapters.
yes.
Yeah, that
You
No
said,
horrified me
chapters.
too.
you said you had no chapters.
I have no chapters. I have no clue about chapters. I think in scenes, so I don't think it's so far removed from chapters. So I would write scenes. And I actually think everybody does, but I remember asking so many teachers, like, how do you know what's a chapter? Like, because is it two,
Mm.
it's just a bit sort of higgledy-piggledy.
It's
Some
very
have two
arbitrary.
scenes, some,
Mm.
yeah. So it's just that ending on a hook to keep people reading. I don't know about that. And as I was writing, it just wasn't a priority for me to think about things in terms of chapters. And I have friends who, yep, I'm going to write a chapter today. I'm like, how do you know? Like, you might go back and delete a scene and then you've got to move your chapter heading because you'll have a teeny tiny chapter or a really big fat chapter. So no, I just had this massive document that I wrote into, and sometimes I would write a little bit ahead. I'd think, oh no, I need to work on this scene, and I'd kind of pull it out and work on it in a separate document, and then stick it back into my big, huge chapterless void of words. I know everyone was quite mortified. I just thought, people, I don't know. I don't know how you work in chapters and think in chapters. So I basically went through once I had finished the manuscript and divided it into chapters.
I was reading your manuscript thinking about this and just thinking, how natural are the chapters? They were very natural. So
Oh,
you
good.
did
Thank
very
you.
well, Marion.
Well, nobody changed them, so that was good.
One thing that I think is a strength of the way you did it without the chapters is that I find when there's some books that I read, and I have this theory, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong, that it is because of people writing in Scrivener, where the documents are separate from each other, where it feels like the chapters are disconnected from each other, where you don't feel this really strong connection between the end of one chapter and the start of the next. And
Okay.
that's one of the reasons why I've never been like, Scrivener just doesn't really work for me, because I write in a big Word document too, because I want that chapter to flow straight into that one, because I think that's what makes you keep turning pages as a reader.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Although, yeah, I know I haven't even tried Scrivener, and I couldn't, because I started this in Word and I just couldn't mentally I couldn't change midway through. But my tip is a little bit different.
Yes,
it is.
You're going to finish us off as well,
Okay.
Marion, I think.
Don't write chapters. No, that's not my tip. My tip is actually a little bit more crafty, and it was something that you hear a lot when you start to take Kate's advice and get invested in some craft and some learning. You hear a lot about voice, and it's always an element of any sort of introduction to fiction course, and find your voice as a writer. And to me, it's kind of like trying to read a newspaper with your nose on the page. It's just, where's my voice? Where's my voice? It just seems strange. So my advice, I think, I really liked the tip to not think about finding your voice. Your voice is there and it will come and it will evolve naturally. But think about finding your character's voice and throw them. You only find that by writing and throwing them into situations, seeing how they react, what they're thinking about. Ask them, what lies do they tell themselves? What's beneath that? Why do they do this? And why do they do this? No, really, why do they do this? And just get into that nitty-gritty of the character. And I think your writer's voice just comes naturally if you concentrate on finding your character's voice. So, yeah, that's my tip.
Yeah,
I feel like I wanted
characters.
to do a workshop with Marion on voice, because I'm just like, oh, I need to take notes. This is good. And I think also for pretty much all publishers, voice is the first thing that they really look at. And if they're not hooked by the voice in the first few chapters, it doesn't matter how good the story is, the voice has to be there and present and in your head.
Oh, definitely. And you see it when you're reading yourself, you can see it. But when you're learning and someone is just saying, well, you've got to find your voice, I don't know, I just found it was just like, but there's not a lot about how to do that. And it's really just through writing. And then you find different characters, who've got different voices. So, yeah,
Kate,
your voice
you've
comes.
got something to say, I can see.
No, I agree with that. And I think I've often thought about this whole find your voice thing. And often when you ask people, what do you mean by voice? They kind of can't quite answer that question. Like it's a bit of this ephemeral kind of thing that's like slippery through your hands. You can't quite get a hold on it. And so I think Marion's advice is really good there. I think just really standing in the shoes of your character and thinking and seeing the world the way they see it, and how would they speak? How would they think? I think that's a better way of coming to whatever that.
Yeah, and I think you get to know your voice. I mean,
Yeah.
especially if workshopping and writers groups and getting that feedback, you get to go, oh, that's a me thing. Oh,
I think it took me 5 manuscripts to find my voice. I think that's
Oh, there
why
you
Last
go.
Shot worked. The others didn't. Yeah, I think you're so right. It's in the writing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to leave this with Grace and Hawke's voice in my head later tonight.
Ooh,
And Freda,
sounds exciting.
I know, doesn't it? And Freda, a woman from the 10th century. So I love the diversity of this year's debut crew. So thank you so much, Emma, Marion, and Kate, for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Madeleine.
Thanks.
Thank you. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Book Deal podcast. Please like, follow, or share this episode so we can encourage more aspiring authors.
And if you have a question you'd like us to answer or ask our guests, please find us on Instagram @thebookdeal or email us at thebookdeal@outlook.com.